This is Judge Joe Brown, and you're watching We All Be News TV, the
News-free Dixie.
News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Greetings, boys and girls, scholars and laymen. This is your hostess with the mostest, Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the Artivist. Right now, I'm here, BEdford ForREst Day 2017. They've been doing this for the last 112 years, honoring one of the great heroes of white supremacy racism, BEdford ForREst. He was moved here to this spot back in 1904, and the statue was put upon his body remains and him and his wife back in 1905. And ever since that moment, the sons and daughters of the Confederacy have been honoring him ever since. So this is my third straight year of attending this event. You get hundreds, sometimes thousands of white folk throughout the country coming to Memphis the Sunday before his birthday, which is July 13th. General BEdford ForREst is acknowledged as a state hero of Tennessee. Every year, the governor of Tennessee issues a proclamation proclaiming him as such, and he is a hero to many whites in America and around the globe. He is known as a military genius. The stuff he did on horseback as a cavalry leader during the Civil War is still studied in military academies throughout the country and the world. But also, he is known as a notorious violator of human, H-U-E, human rights, a notorious slave trader. He made his family fortune through slave trade. He arguably had one of the largest slave markets on Adams Street in Memphis, which is also the home now of juvenile court, arguably one of the most corrupt juvenile courts in the country. He also is the father of private prisons. He had a huge lucrative prison labor contract employing black convicts after the war to work what is known as President A.L.L. So he is an interesting character in history, a very controversial and polarizing character in history. So the question remains, in a city of 70% African Americans, why are black folks paying upkeep on a statue or a system or a symbol of white supremacy racism, which is the final resting place of General BEdford ForREst? Now, what is interesting about this, because it's been a long battle going over years and even decades of removing his body from these premises, is the fact that in his dying will and testament, BEdford ForREst wanted to be buried with his men in Elmwood Cemetery, and he was buried there until 1900s when they removed his body to the current location on Union Avenue, one of the busiest streets in Memphis, Tennessee, which is only blocks away from where they crucified Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., coming up on 50 years, and also only some blocks away where they ran the great Ida B. Wells Barnett out of the South and out of Memphis, Tennessee forever, when they burned down a free speech and headlight newspaper on Bill Street. So I say all this to say, once again, why in a town that is 70% black paying upkeep on a symbol of white supremacy and black oppression in this city? Why are we paying the upkeep for this statue? Would it be more feasible that the supporters and admirers of BEdford ForREst foot the bill for this monument of this man? Right now behind me, thanks to brother Newsom, he's holding a picture I did in honor of the Fort Pillow Massacre victims. It's called Black Family Genocide, remembering the victims of the Fort Pillow Massacre of 1864. It is alleged that on April 12, 1864, in Henning, Tennessee, that General BEdford ForREst led his Confederate soldiers to slaughter surrendering black Union soldiers. Not only surrendering black Union soldiers were slaughtered, but also women and children of color. So you had over 300 folks that were victims of this man. So it's been contested, right? They had a congressional inquiry investigation. He was never formally charged with the act of genocide or being a war criminal, but that followed him to his dying day and is also a part of his legacy of him doing that atrocity. Even his obituary in the New York Times, I believe, it included reference to Fort Pillow. And remember, Fort Pillow was a battling cry for the remainder of the war for black Union soldiers. So, I mean, he was accused of burying people alive, skinning folks alive, gouging people's eyes out, drowning them in the Mississippi River. Let's look it up, because recently recently, my group led a funeral rites of passage for the victims of the Fort Pillow Massacre. We found their graves in Memphis National Cemetery. 109 cemetery plots were found, but we said over 300 people were the victims of this man's action or inaction of stopping his troops. Now, you could talk to us, but you also could use primary sources to detail what happened on both sides of the war. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm just doing a commentary on this, and this is my pitch I did in honor of the Fort Pillow Massacre victims. Now, I would suggest that as a thing, if we could not get rid of this monument, that there should also be a monument to the victims of Nathan-Bedford ForREst in this city. And it should be subsidized by the taxpayers in this city, in this park, that is equal to the monument of Nathan-Bedford ForREst here. What say you?
Except it was done by private funding, not taxpayer money.
But the taxpayers are upkeeping this park, right? Making the grass cut.
University of Tennessee is.
But that's a public institute, correct?
I don't want to be on your film.
You won't be on my film, but it's a public institute, right?
It is.
Right, so that's taxpayers' money. It's a state-funded institution, taxpayer money, so it's not upkeep by your organization.
Only because they won't let us.
Only because it won't let it, but if y'all was allowed to do so, would y'all upkeep
Yes.
the monument?
Yes.
So you
We do now anyway. We take care of the
I'm saying, like, it's some stuff, all this cartridge stuff left from y'all shooting it up. Y'all didn't pick that up. Somebody got to clean that up, correct?
Yes.
And y'all getting police protection over here so nothing happens, right? On
Yes.
taxpayer dime.
Yes.
Okay, then that's all I'm saying. So it would be not right as taxpayers if we want a statue to the people that were victims of slavery and of some of his people. He was one of the most prolific slave traders in this area, had the largest slave market here, and he profited from private prison. He had the black prison slave labor contract for President A.L.L. This we know.
Okay, they were prisoners. Yes.
Right, but he was a profiteer of private prisons as well as of the human slave
He
trade.
paid the county to use their labor. Yes.
Right, so I'm saying this is problematic for me in the county and the city that's 100%, or not 100%, 76% black. Why is it that the talk about reparations is a joke for black folks who are descendants of slaves, but when it comes to the upkeep of the statues, it's no problem? And his man's legacy is checkered. He has a checkered legacy.
Well, whose in history doesn't?
Right. I agree with you. So it would be in our right, in our best interest. Like, for my example, I like to remember Jimmy Lunsford the way y'all remember Nathan-Bedford ForREst. I commend you all for doing this for over a century, commemorating your hero. I believe us as black people should do the same for our heroes too as well.
I agree.
So I mean, I respect what y'all do here in terms of I peacefully observe, I interact. I'm not trying to mess up y'all thing, but I'm saying I think it's interesting that in the town there's no statue of Dr. King. He was killed up the street.
Well, that's not the taxpayers' problem. Somebody should raise the money, and we didn't contribute to that. We are a big believer in producing all the history of Memphis, not just certain parts of it. And truthful history also, I may add. Truthful history.
Okay, truthful history. So what's your name, sir?
It's Doyle.
Doyle, and you part of the Sons of Confederate Veterans?
I am.
Okay, are you in Memphis?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll be talking to you then again about some solutions that we can come to in terms of that. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming.
All right. All right, thanks. Y'all take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. So that was me talking to Mr. Doyle, trying to see what I was doing over here. I'm just telling the truth. I'm a truth teller. He did not say anything against what I was saying, correct? He did not try to challenge me because what I say is true. We are paying for upkeep of a statue of oppression. I'm wearing you out.
You good?
You good? Okay, okay. Yeah. So facts, everything I said, right.
I'm watching the last 4 people over there.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so what I'm saying, and also it's interesting, location. Now, right across the street from us, we got the police officers. Let me show the police. They across the street, protect the racism, white supremacy. They right by the Scottish Rite building. And I want to make a point about that Scottish Rite building. The police is protecting them, but they don't protect black folks. Okay, but that's taxpayer money. So I'll make a point about that that building, the Scottish Rite building across the street. Now, Nathan-Bedford ForREst was known to be a friend of Albert Pike. He's considered a Freemason legend. He was a Scottish Rite Freemason, third degree. And that building's right across the street from this memorial monument to white supremacy racism. And Albert Pike was in Memphis back in the 1860s. He's the only Confederate general with a monument in Washington, D.C. So they'll tell you the statue. And he's also from Massachusetts. He's not from the South. And he was an interesting character. He was a really big guy, giant of a man, literally. And he worked at the Memphis Daily Appeal. And they say he was a founder of the Ku Klux Klan. Now, they say Nathan Bedford ForREst was the first Grand Wizard of the KKK, but they say he was also a founder and a friend of Nathan Bedford ForREst. When I talk to people here, they act like they never heard of Albert Pike, that he didn't know Nathan, or Nathan wasn't his friend, but they were close for some reason. But he wrote in the Memphis Daily Appeal back in the mid-1860s about a Southern Brotherhood, a secret organization should be to upheld white people's beliefs in supremacy. So I'm thinking he's talking about the Klan. They claim Albert Pike was the chief judicial officer of the Klan, a really high-ranking member of the Klan. And isn't it ironic that his Scottish Rite Freemason building is over across the street from Nathan Bedford ForREst monument? And I want black folks and other people to be aware of that fact. So I'm gonna close all this to say that also Nathan Bedford ForREst had a great grandson who was a black man. He is well known, he is famous, his name is Douglas Turner Ward. He is the founder of the Negro Ensemble Company, which trained and discovered folks like Denzel Washington, Angela Bassett, Morgan Freeman, Samuel Jackson, the list goes on. That's his great grandson, Douglas Turner Ward. It's like a Jewish person saying that their great grandfather is Hitler. Who would want to claim such a person if you are a person of color? Nathan Bedford ForREst, right? So I say all to say, people, take a look. It's all online. And I want black folks to resurrect our righteous ancestors, because I believe there should be a monument to the black victims of Nathan Bedford ForREst in this park that is on scale or equal or surpasses this monument to white supremacy and violence against people of color, melanated people. It should be one. It should be one that remembers the victims of the Fort Pillow Massacre, for Dr. King, for Oliver Wells Barnett, for the Memphis Massacre of 1866, where they were started by white police officers. There should be a monument to black pain as well as black excellence. The airport should be named after Jimmy Lunsford, the father of Memphis music education. We're doing a Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Festival in the fall, October 23rd to 29th. Look on social media, follow us on social media to find out more about this. Jimmy Lunsford was an interesting man. He took his best high school students and buddies from Fisk University and probably started the greatest swing band of all time. I mean, he was the #1 attraction at the Apollo Theater for a whole decade. And he owned and flew his own airplanes back in the 30s and 40s, which is rare because they were not trying to train black folks to fly in the 30s and 40s. Matter of fact, a person like Bessie
owned a plane.
Owned a plane, right? Like Bessie Coleman had to go to France to get a license. So this guy owned and flew his own plane. So why not name the airport after him in Memphis? They got one for Louis Armstrong, right? Medgar Evers, Jackson, Fred Shuttleworth in Birmingham. So why not name one after a forgotten aviation pioneer and Memphis music education phenomenon known as Jimmy Lunsford? We should honor Jimmy Lunsford the same way they honor Nathan Bedford ForREst in this city. We should talk about Jimmy Lunsford every day the same way they talk about crime in Memphis. Imagine if we talked about Jimmy Lunsford as much as they talk about crime and hating black folks in Memphis for 30 days.
You might create the next Jimmy Lunsford.
Right, we might create it. Yeah, because black folks got power. But I'll say all to say thank you all, family. If you liked what you heard, spread the word from Mr. Hurd. We love you madly. Please support the We All Be movement.
Antonio.
Yeah, brother Antonio Newsom for being so patient and for working out this past year to be able to hold this thing and maintain his composure.
So they were the Baby and Slim, you know, Baby from Cash Money and Slim of white supremacy.
I like
and they buildings right here. You got the silent partner.
Right.
And then you got the big partner who flashes and makes all the money.
That's right. There you go.
They homeboys and, you know, and they won't let us move.
So there you go, boys and girls, scholars and laymen. We are the news. We the people news. We make it move because we all be in it to win it. The world's a great together. We love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing, because it's not about protesting. It's not about reacting, because being revolutionary is planning and creating and manifesting your own thing. Don't do their thing, do your own thing. Like a white professor told me when I came here last year, Brother Ron, with all due respect, with who you are and what you're about, but once y'all do your own thing, y'all don't need to protest this, and I agree with him, but we do need to know that every Sunday before Nathan Bedford ForREst's birthday, hundreds and even thousands of white folks come down here to praise this man. We need to be co-workers, your co-workers, teachers, professional people. These aren't like trailer park trash. These are professional white folks. College educated, white collar, white folks coming here in this park, okay?
Suspected white supremacy.
Suspected white supremacy, you know, yeah, suspected.
Suspected.
but all about racism, white supremacy. Like the guy said, he could not argue me down about my statements, and I had facts for his ass.
Yeah.
With all due respect. So thank you so much, family. We love you madly. In the words of Duke Ellington, keep on producing and pushing.